Goodness me, that is a lot of downloads. So, it has officially been about 2 weeks since Abyssal Crown's release. I've received a lot of feedback and other comments, and honestly, this release was probably one of the most overwhelming things I've ever had to do. First of all, thank you a ton for everyone who's played it so far. All the streamers and all the people that have made content about it, everyone that's talked about it, people in my Discord, you get it. I couldn't thank you all enough. It is crazy for me to think about that I was talking to a friend when I was making the first trailer and telling him, you know, if this trailer gets 500 views, that's awesome. If it gets 1000, that's great. And anything above is super good. In the first hour of release, Tyler McVicker played it on stream. Icarus Lives left a comment. Slim played it not too long ago too and seemingly couldn't get enough of it. The launch trailer is my most viewed video and it's not even close. I am sitting at 990 subs. 990. Whoa. Either way, I have received a lot of feedback and I have been hard at work on addressing it for the next update. The overwhelming majority found the mod to be insanely fun, although there are two things that have shown up pretty often even from people that have enjoyed it. For one, the Crown Reaver has either been far too OP or downright useless, and some arenas just last far too long, they just drag on for too long. Both of these things will be addressed in the next update, which, you know, I think we should get into, shall we? I am excited to show you some of the stuff I've been doing. Welcome to Update 1.2. After having released Rebirth 1.0 and discussing the future of the project with all my friends, I have gone under what I can only say is a reality check. Zero, I don't know if you're watching this. This single sentence changed a lot. So, let's take a gander on what this update is going to bring. As things stand right now, I do not actually have everything ready, so what I'm showing you is basically an in-depth look of the new mechanics. Starting off with a simpler one, ever wish that the movement was a little more interesting before you get the dashing boots? Well, look no further than the Dark Ages shield at her, lunge slap, of course. Lunge slap, it's legally distinct. This is a brand new mechanic akin to the bong, except its primary usage comes from allowing you to close in gaps really quickly from a pretty big range, no matter the verticality. The damage the slap does isn't really much, although the entire point of this mechanic is movement. It recharges over the course of 6 seconds and, much like the bong, can be triggered whenever. Additionally, all demons slapped will drop a little bit of health, which should hopefully reduce the over-reliance on the bong for resources. Ever wanted an entire shoulder cannon? Well, here it is. The shoulder cannon has two different functions. You've got a gravity grenade and a saw blade that locks all demons except super heavies in place for 6 seconds. Starting things off with a gravity grenade, this is the first function of the shoulder cannon you'll be getting your hands onto. As his name suggests, the gravity grenade pulls in all except super heavies and mancubi close together, further improving on much needed crowd control capabilities. That's about all there is to it. From testing, it's really bloody strong as is, but really I guess we'll see if it needs buffs or nerfs when this is going to be public. The secondary function of the shoulder cannon is the saw blade. Oh boy. The best way I can describe it is that this is going to be a flame belt from now on. All demons that are saw locked will slowly generate 36 armor points over the course of 6 seconds, and saw locked demons which are killed instantly burst into 40 total armor points. Additionally, the Vulcan Rifle and Crown Reaver have some synergies with it. Every 6th shot from the Vulcan into a saw locked demon will drop a little bit of ammo, while shooting one with a Crown Reaver will make it generate a lot more armor shards. Once again, this is basically to give people more options at making their resources and not have to over-rely on the bong. The Sawblade's functionality does not end there, however, as both the bong and the slap have some benefit. Should you bonk a soul-lock demon, the soul will explode, dealing a lot of damage in a relatively large radius. The same goes for the slap, except the soul doesn't explode into a damaging blast, but rather into a massive knockback blast, giving you a lot of breathing room. On top of the new mechanics, I also plan on toning down the amount of waves per arena in pretty much every map, as well as revamping the tutorials in Map 01. There is much more to this update, such as 3 other massive weapon overhauls as you've probably noticed, but I'd rather keep all of that as a surprise for you all to discover when the update comes out. Alrighty, that's enough happy joy. Let's talk about some real shit, and why this update especially brings out so many new mechanics and overhauls out of the blue. Remember how I was saying earlier that I got a reality check after Rebirth's release? The reason I say that is because I have realized that I may be a little too ambitious for my own good, and that is lightly putting it. The rest of the campaign was going to initially contain another 5 weapons, each with a new alt-fire and their respective synergies, 2 new bonk-style melee variations you could choose between, an entire upgrade system for your weapons which would give you the option to outright shift the weapon's functionality, and... do you see the problem here? As things stand, I am a solo dev. I have friends that help playtest and also help me with balancing discussions, but really, there is nobody to help code or sprite or anything of the sorts. The thing I was going to do was simply far too much for me to handle. The development cycle of Chapter 2 would have likely been make 1 map, then code the next mechanics or weapons for the next month, and I don't think that would have ended in a really pretty way. So, where do we go moving forward? I'm pretty pleased to say that I have managed to make myself understand that this can't be the campaign with everything. Do remember, I would like to rewrite the story of Doom as we know it. The Abyssal Crown is basically what Doom 1 is to the main franchise. Obviously, future campaigns will involve different mechanics and playstyles, and really, if I would include all of my ideas into this one campaign, then not only do I end up burning out, but also taking away what would make future projects memorable. Since this realization, I have managed to cut down on an immense workload and also rewrite the story in a way which allows me to merge Chapter 3 and 4 together. Which does mean that the Abyssal Crown is now only going to contain 3 chapters. The story changes aren't going to be immense, but without going into any spoilers, I definitely want to say that the old story I had in mind wasn't just too overambitious, but also a little too peppy? It didn't feel like there was much character development. It just felt like somehow this one human that was rescued, someone who currently is a nobody, was able to turn the tide of something this grand. It just didn't feel interesting at all, and in a way it almost felt too predictable and thus forgettable. This prompted me to want to look back, reflect on the story as a whole, and make a much more interesting story with especially more character development that also doesn't take away from future projects. I do hope that this is alright. This project is already gigantic as is, and I feel like doing this is not only going to allow you people to play this quicker, but also significantly lift an unreal amount of weight off my shoulders. So, with all of this aside, what is there to expect come Chapter 2? Well, for one, much more open maps with more smaller arenas with the occasional long encounter here and there. Easily the most common piece of criticism I've been eyeing is that encounters are just too bloody long. And honestly, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. A thing about this entire fiasco, I have been playing this game for almost 20 years now. The way the campaign is currently is basically perfect for how I enjoy this game. By the time I realized these encounters are far too long, it was a little too late. The person that helps me playtest this mod the most is basically on par with me. And while he didn't play the game for anywhere near as long as I have, he also likes super long combat encounters. So to us, that just wasn't an issue. Then I got my more casual friends to playtest it, and oh my lord, I didn't realize just how long it all was. Mind you, this was like 2 weeks before release. There was a lot more to do and check before that, and I simply didn't have much time to cut down on the waves. Kinda going off topic, but I guess the point I'm getting at is that from now on, I would like to make more smaller encounters which should hopefully help the flow of the game more. Other than new levels, expect new characters, weapons and synergies, a brand new mechanic, and a hopefully more refined player upgrade progression. And would you look at that, the time has come for me to go. Thank you all so much for the support. I mean it with all my heart. I simply can't find words to share just how much I can appreciate all the feedback and positivity. I'll be catching you all in the next video.